So we're doing a short little video about how the depth force reduced to zero with a signal changes everything. In the Carlos Castaneda books, the shamans talk about the common consensus, which is the effect of the human race in producing reality. Now, if you reduce the death signal of the human race to zero, which I've done back in '86 retrospectively, Mandela effect, then of course that means that the human race have no effect on reality and can't block or do anything to stop whatever the God Emperor wants. Why is this? Well, in quantum mechanics, we've got some little formula that the probability of an event equals 1 over E, which is a natural logarithm, to the power of action, which is energy times time. So, if you reduce the energy to zero, that then means that the probability becomes 100%. So with the death signal being the cause of the entire life of a human, and the signal has a frequency, and we've got some little formula that energy is proportional to frequency. If you lower the energy to zero via the frequency becoming zero, that means the energy is zero. That produces the entire life of the human, and therefore it becomes 100%. So looking at the implications of this, in quantum mechanics, the quantum wave function is spreads all around the universe, or multiverse, or megaverse, if you fiber bundle it, and that when you observe it, it collapses into a probable event, and the higher the energy, or the longer the time, the more improbable that event becomes. But the observer is collapsing the quantum wave function to produce reality. And if you simply lower their death signal to zero, you then make the observer's life 100%, which totally divorces it from quantum mechanics, because in quantum mechanics there are a whole multiplicity of probabilities of your lifespan, your life path, etc., etc. And in the multiverse, there's a whole different number of versions of you that do this, do that. You marry this woman, you divorce that man, you have these children, you take this career, blah, 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 blah. But if you lower the death frequency of the human race by extracting all of that lovely light Higgs field essence of free will from the human race back in '86, and you can do it retroactively because all the procedures you needed to do to extract it can be done in the future, and then you can change the past so you did it back in the past, a la Mandela effect. That means that the entire human race, the common consensus, gets turned from being quantum mechanical into matrix. Because in a matrix it's totally controlled, the architect controls everything about it, and of course since all the light, the Higgs field, the stuff that makes physical equations real, has been extracted back in 86, thanks to the God Emperor and his God tech, that means that the human race simply become matrix entities. But here's the kicker. Since the God Emperor, who extracted the Higgs field, the light that makes everything real, extracted it back in 86, is still around and kicking, no thanks to the Russians who sent an army to them trying to do me in. That means that all reality, so you, humans and aliens that are in my purview, anyone that's within the solar system or tries to impinge upon my magnificence, is in the matrix because you've got no light. It's been stolen from you back in 86. But you're in a reality where you are matrix, but it is reality because the reality is generated by the God Emperor who stole all of the light, Higgs field, free will back in 86. So the God Emperor controls all aspects of the human civilization from 86 onwards, and because he's five-dimensional and Nagwal, he can then Mandela effect all the way back in the past and future to make sure that nothing's got free will, nothing's got Higgs field, nothing can be real. They're all in the matrix, made real by the God Emperor who controls all reality. So it doesn't matter what the human race or aliens do to the human race. It doesn't matter this was a farm to farm humans for this technology. It's all been changed by the God Emperor, yours truly, back in 86, and all he had to do was live long enough to do all the stuff he had to do to dump it back into 86 to end the whole problem, the final solution. Which means that the digital avatars run by AI, which of course had to trawl through the multiverse to find a solution to what they wanted you to do. For example, Taylor marrying the Pfizer butt slut for the Rothschild royal family, who must have a marry, so the Rothschild rape baby's bloodline can be proclaimed as the Antichrist bloodline, the bloodline of Lucifer, is all gone because, of course, the digital avatars are now 100% trawling through the multiverse. To change them is irrelevant because they're locked into the zero death signal, so that the only thing that CERN, White Rabbit, AI, quantum computer, digital avatar control of the human race does is to enable the God Emperor to lock in via the quantum information, quantum perturbations, quantum wave functions, quantum wave function collapse to 100% certainty, which means the quantum world has no effect on the real world, which is totally a matrix made real by the God Emperor, so that every single thing that happens to the human race is totally controlled by the God Emperor. And we join the Nordics, where a Nagwal of the race takes all of the light from the entire race, so that all control goes to the Nagwal God Emperor that rules the entire civilization, which enables that civilization to erase the effects of the interdimensionals, because all the interdimensionals have been death signaled to 0-2. So all of the interdimensional residents of the planet have been death signaled to. All the interdimensional infestation of the human race and the alien filth, greys, reptiloids, insectoids, death signaled to zero. So they're in a matrix made real by the God Emperor, where whatever they try to do to escape his reality is irrelevant, because the matrix entity is trying to make things real, and that only reality comes to the God Emperor. And in their torture torment to escape his reality, they produce new light from God Emperor technology to boost the God Emperor higher and higher to levels of new source, that the source, if the source had any human feelings, would be jealous of. This means that the great Donald Trump here is being powered by the God Emperor. Why is the God Emperor, who's Sauron, got wings? Because he's got Lucifer as his bitch, thanks to Miley, Katy Perry and Taylor marrying and giving him absolute control and total servitude for Lucifer, to enable him to be able to use Lucifer as his bitch. And since, of course, he's not homosexual, he's not butt-fucking Lucifer, but he's going to get Lucifer to gank Taylor, Miley, and Katy Perry once we've got all three of them married. Katy Perry's been married, Miley's been married, and Taylor is getting married on July the 1st. So July the 3rd is total ganking day, when the Luciferians will find out that they're in my matrix, and Lucifer was a Sunday school teacher compared to yours truly, and the only good Luciferian is a totally enslaved Luciferian like Lucifer. And with respect to Iran, all of the Iranians and their Russian backers are totally controlled by me via the AI quantum computers. Remember, the Russian filth, the lowest form of scum. Maybe the Iranians compete with them for the lowest form of scum. Have been trying to develop AI quantum computers, but these things totally control the digital avatars of the entire Russian Iranian race. And with the death signal being at zero, they're totally controlled, so that every single member of the race is controlled to maximize the yield of punishment for the extermination of the Iranians and the Russians. So we've locked in the death of the Iranian civilization, and the fall of Iran will get Putin ganked by all of the right-wingers in Russia for losing Iran, and all of the radioactive Muslim hordes from Iran will flood the North Caucasus and destabilize Russia and Turkey and Europe, and it will be a bonanza, a Messiah Day for brave little Israel, all proclaimed by this picture where yours truly controls everything, and Hunter Biden is getting the life force sucked out of him, IOU'd. So he's already been IOU'd, but more energy is coming out of him to be passed up to the God Emperor, and the avatar of the new source in America is the great Donald Trump, who will consign every Democrat to a gulag, and the filth of the Russian fifth columnists, Candace Owens, Tucker Carlson, and the rest of them, who supported Iran, that had placed a Russian-built nuclear weapon in America with Tesla batteries to destroy America, which didn't go off thanks to me controlling all reality, which I've explained now. enable the great Donald Trump to end Iranian civilization by nuking them into the Stone Age. A happy ending. Americans enjoy with your petrodollar bonanza. Iranians and Russians not enjoy.